What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm making NFL Week 2 picks, so let's hop into it. And if you like these videos, please consider supporting the channel. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, which is just crazy. So if you like the video, don't forget to like it and hit that subscribe button. But anyway, last week my record was 10-5, and I am recording this on a Monday, so the Monday night football game between the Jets and the 49ers hasn't happened yet. If the 49ers win, my record will have been 11-5, and if the Jets win, it'd be 10-6. So that was my record last week, and let's just hop into the picks for week 2, starting off with Thursday night football. We have the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins, an AFC East matchup. And both of these teams last week had come from behind wins. The Dolphins came back and beat the Jaguars. The Bills came back and beat the Cardinals in a game that the Cardinals almost upset them. So an early divisional matchup between these two teams. And I do think these two teams will split their season series. So the Bills will win one, the Dolphins will win one. And here I have the Bills taking the first game of this series by beating the Dolphins by a final score of 28-27. Then moving on to our Sunday slate of games, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And both of these teams lost last week. The Dolphins had a come from behind win to beat the Jaguars. The Browns just looked horrible in their loss to the Dallas Cowboys. And I do have the Jaguars beating the Browns by a final score of 23-16. The Browns, they just looked completely dysfunctional. Their defense looked good at times, but overall, like their offense and Deshaun Watson, just horrid. And the Jaguars, though they kind of disappeared in the second half of that Dolphins game, I still think they have a good chance of beating the Browns at home. So I have the Jaguars winning this game. Then we have the Raiders against the Baltimore Ravens, another game where both of these teams are coming off a loss. The Raiders lost to the Chargers, the Ravens lost to the Chiefs, and I do have the Ravens beating the Raiders by a final score of 31-20. On paper, the Ravens are a much better team than they showed last week. The Raiders kind of up in the air at this point, and I think the Ravens just take care of business at home and get their first win of the season. So then moving on, we have the Jets at the Titans, and I do have the Jets winning this game by a final score of 24-10. Because I'm recording this video on Monday, they haven't played yet, so I don't know how the Jets are going to look. But the Titans, on the other hand, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory last week against the Bears. They had a punt block returned against them. They had a pick six, and they really held Caleb Williams and the Bears in check. So just a couple mistakes really just cost them that game. If they were playing just clean football, they would have walked away with the W, but they didn't. The Jets, on the other hand, like I said, I don't know how they're going to perform against the 49ers. They could go out there and look absolutely horrible, but I still like this pick with the Jets over the Titans just because of how kind of dysfunctional the Titans were down the stretch of last game. So I do have the Jets winning by a final score of 24-10. Then moving on to our next game, we have the 49ers at the Vikings. And once again, I don't know how the 49ers looked in week 1 because this is before the Monday night football game. But the Vikings, on the other hand, they looked pretty good. Sam Darnold looked good, but kind of take it with a grain of salt because they were playing the Giants, and the Giants didn't look too hot, and I think the expectations for the Giants are just kind of down there. Probably a little bit better than the Panthers, but still not that high. So I don't know how this Vikings team is going to stack up against the 49ers because I haven't even seen the 49ers play yet, but I still have the 49ers over the Vikings, kind of a safe pick. But I do think it will be close, so I have the 49ers winning by a final score of 30-27. Then moving on, we have the Los Angeles Chargers on the road against the Carolina Panthers. The Chargers got the win against the Raiders in week 1. I don't want to say pretty easily, but, there wasn't much cause for concern for them. And the Panthers got absolutely blown out by the Saints. And I do think the Saints are hands down a better team than the Panthers, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. The Panthers they just looked horrible. So I don't know if that's just because, they were playing a divisional team that knows them better than pretty much all the other teams. But whatever happened with the Panthers, they looked absolutely cooked. So faith in the Panthers, very, very low. So I have the Chargers winning this one pretty easily by a final score of 34-14. Then we have the Seattle Seahawks against the New England Patriots. The Seahawks took care of business against Denver last week. The Patriots actually pulled off the upset over Cincinnati, which some of you guys called down in the comments, so congratulations. And I don't think they're going to pull off the upset 2 weeks in a row. Their defense held Cincinnati in check, causing, I want to say it was 2 or 3 fumbles. I don't think the same thing's going to happen this week, but I do think it will be a relatively close game, and I have the Seahawks winning it by a final score of 20-14. And then moving on, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys, and both of these teams won in week 1. Both of them pretty much blew out their opponents. The Saints put almost 50 on the Panthers. The Cowboys scored into the 30s against the Browns. So both these teams, in my opinion, are kind of inflated right now. How good are the Saints really? I mean, they played the Panthers. They got the job done. Everybody kind of expected that. The Cowboys, on the other hand, beat the Browns. The score was a little bit closer, but still they really didn't have to worry too much about that game. And I actually have this as one of my upset picks this week. I do have the Saints over the Cowboys. The Saints, in my opinion, were kind of like a well-oiled machine, whereas the Cowboys did have some mistakes against the Browns. And I do think there's some areas of weakness that the Saints can exploit. So I do have them upsetting the Cowboys in Dallas by a final score of 27-24. Then we have the New York Giants against the Washington Commanders, an NFC East matchup. Both of these teams coming off a loss. And I have the Commanders getting the win at home. Jaden Daniels' first NFL win by a final score of 20-17. The Giants really didn't look good at all last week. The Commanders, they played the Buccaneers. They lost by like 17. But still, there was flashes of potential. So I don't know if this is an upset or not, but I do have the Commanders taking this game from the Giants. Then moving on, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Detroit Lions. Both these teams won last week. And I do have this as another upset-ish pick, as I do have the Buccaneers beating the Lions. Baker Mayfield had that Tampa offense pretty much rolling. Granted, they were playing the Commanders, and we don't really know how well they're going to be. They do have a rookie quarterback. So maybe the Buccaneers might be in that inflated category with like the Cowboys and the Saints, but they were a playoff team a year ago, so I don't know about that. And the Lions, they did get the win against the Rams in week 1, but they had to take it into overtime. So I do think this is going to be another close game, but I have the Buccaneers just pulling it out and winning it by a final score of 28-24. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers, and before Jordan Love's injury in week 1, I would have picked the Packers to probably win this game, but because he will be out, and I want to say Malik Willis is their backup quarterback, I have very little faith in the Packers to win this game. The Colts hung steady with the Texans in week 1, but they did fall short of the win. But I think they can rebound and get the win against a Jordan Loveless Packers. So because of that, I do have the Colts winning by a final score of 26-13. Then moving on, we have an NFC West matchup between the Rams and the Cardinals. Both of these teams lost last week, so one of them is going to get in the win column. And I do have that being the Rams by a final score of 30-20. The Cardinals hung steady with the Bills. They had a lead for a majority of the game. The Bills came back and won. So that's just kind of a deflating blow to have a pretty decent lead and then to lose it. The Rams, on the other hand, hard-fought battle with Detroit. And with these two teams being division opponents, I do believe it will be close. I think a lot of these games will be close. But I have the Rams winning by a final score of 30-20. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. And I'm not 100% sure who the Steelers quarterback for this game is going to be. Russell Wilson was supposed to be the quarterback for the Falcons game, but he had some sort of leg injury, so Justin Fields got the start. And the Steelers were able to beat the Falcons by only kicking field goals, which that's not going to win you many games in the NFL. But hey, with the way their defense was playing and their defense shut down Atlanta's offense, it got the job done. But I do think they'll find the end zone this week against the Broncos. That Steelers defense against a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix could just wreak havoc all game. So I do have the Steelers winning this game by a final score of 21-10. Then we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bengals lost last week. The Chiefs won. And the Bengals really didn't look that good. They lost a few fumbles. Kind of dysfunctional. Jamar Chase was kind of like a game-time decision. But regardless, the Bengals did not put on a good showing last week. The Chiefs won in week 1, and I think they're going to win again in week 2. The Bengals are one of those teams where I just think they need a couple weeks, get themselves together, and get to the level they know they're capable of playing at. And the Chiefs just take advantage of that. But I do think the Bengals do show some signs of life and make this a pretty high-scoring game, as I have the Chiefs winning it by a final score of 38-30. Then on Sunday Night Football, we have the Chicago Bears against the Houston Texans. Both of these teams won last week. Chicago pretty much won by a miracle. Caleb Williams, I want to say, had like 90 passing yards. Really wasn't that efficient. Definitely looked like the rookie quarterback that he is. The Bears kind of lucked out because they had the block punt for a touchdown and a pick six, which just put them over the top against the Titans. But I don't think they're going to be that fortunate this week against this Texans team. And I do have the Texans just kind of blowing them out of the water. And I do think this game could get pretty ugly pretty fast if Caleb Williams and this Bears offense doesn't step up their game. So I have the Texans winning by a final score of 45-10. Hopefully it's not this embarrassment on Sunday Night Football, but Chicago definitely has to be better. And then closing out week 2 on Monday Night Football, we have the Atlanta Falcons against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do have the Eagles winning this game by a final score of 28-16. The Falcons offense is kind of non-existent. That Steelers defense definitely held them in check, so they'll have to be better if they want any chance of winning this game in Philadelphia. And this Eagles offense, definitely very explosive, so I don't know if the Eagles get up early if the Falcons have a chance of catching them. So I don't think Philadelphia is going to have too much difficulty putting away the Falcons. But hey, anything is possible. So yeah, those are my NFL Week 2 picks. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Leave your thoughts down below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you with another picks video next week. I hope you all have a good day and God bless.